you haven't had an opportunity to watch the interview with Jared Goff and his two buddies from Cal, you probably should. And I will put a link to that video in the description below. So I was watching it today, trying to get ready for tonight's podcast and trying to grab some tidbits of information to talk about. And something he said resonated with me. And then, man, I got a little bit more happy just thinking about what he just said and what it could mean. So I'm going to give you the quote, and then we'll talk about, for just a moment, does this mean that Jared Goff is going to be staying in Detroit for a long time? We've been talking about his extension, and based on what he said and how he said it, sounds like that's going to be the reality. So they were talking about the media and how the media has this negative connotation to it now when you talk about Detroit sports. And he's got this little thing, the little bone to pick, if you will, with the media. And his quote went along something like this. It says, "I have this and I need to drop it soon here because I'm going to hopefully be in Detroit for a long time. But I have this thing with our local media where they almost relish in negativity at times." Now I'm going to stop and read that again. Did you catch what I just said? I have this and I need to drop it soon here because I'm going to hopefully be in Detroit for a long time. But I have this thing with our local media where they almost relish in negativity at times. And maybe that's what gets clicks and that's what sells. But it's no longer what they need to live in. Hey, guys, we have a good team. We've had success. We can be happy about that. We can celebrate that and not have to write about how we're constantly the underdog. No, teams are going to be gunning for us now. We've won the division. I'm probably overthinking it in my head just because it's the chip on my shoulder and the competitor in me. But in that moment, I was just giving that guy a hard time. So again, he was talking about a local beat reporter that was kind of given too much to the 49ers team during the NFC title run-up and media coverage and wasn't giving any credit to the Lions. And this is an in-house guy for the Lions. Been there for 3-4 years or whatever it's been. And he's more concerned about the 49ers being a good team. And that's where Jared Goff was saying, well, what about Penei Sewell? Or, Monroe St. Brown is all pro, blah, 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 blah. So watch the video. But here's how I want to frame this and what he just said. It sounds like they're working on a long-term deal. Now, I've speculated that it would be a 3-year extension to allow Jared Goff to have continuity and symmetry with Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes contracts that are through 2027. But just by saying those words together, long time could be a 5-year deal, could be 4. Either way, maybe 3 years is a long time, including 2024. That would be a 4-year deal. I'm excited for whatever happens. I hope it gets done. I hope Jared Goff remains a Detroit Lion for a long time here, just like he said. And the reason is simple. He has grown exponentially since he's been in Detroit, and there's many reasons why. Number one, Jared Goff is a new leader. He's totally changed the way that he goes about business. And it's part of that, learning to fail gracefully type of attitude that he has, taken upon him. The first year in Detroit was the worst season he's ever had to go through as a professional athlete. Probably one of the worst seasons he's ever had to go through his entire career, ever since he was playing in Pee Wee football. And so that's where he learned, to develop a new fire in his belly and started to lead more by example and learning how to lead more by example, going through all those growing pains, the Detroit, first season and even into the second season kind of helped mold and shape into Jared. He's now been a very boisterous vocal leader. He's definitely come out of his shell, if you will, growing and maturing into a new role as the leader of this team, where his word, and he spoke to this in the podcast too, that his word on the mirror, I believe that there's some psychology professors or somebody that works with the Lions, in working with behavior development and things like that, and how to be, a different person, if you will, or, how to get the most out of you. I can't come up with the word right now. But anyway, they put these mirrors in their lockers. And even Amon-Ra has spoken to this in the past too. But his word was consistent. Now, if you go to my Twitter bio, @WillRock Jr., my 2 words that I've always had, persistently consistent. Because that's how you get places in life. That's how you overcome and achieve the things that are extremely hard to get through. Keep showing up. Jared keeps showing up. And he proved that to us again this last season. How exciting it was to watch him continue to show up week after week and put up a W. Look, Jared feels empowered as a leader right now. And he says that because of the way that Dan Campbell has embraced him to find his own way in Detroit. And it was almost like he was forced to fail and or thrive to figure it out. So fail and then thrive. I call that sink or swim. You know, you just throw them to the wolves. They either sink or they swim. I do it all the time. You know, with old sales associates that I used to train, it was sink or swim mentality. And then you bring them in and you show them how to do it right. But he speaks highly of Dan Campbell and the way that Dan Campbell leads and how it's so unique and different and refreshing and how he aspires to be like Dan Campbell in the way that he leads this Detroit Lions team. And he also speaks to, in this last point, he's been taking some leadership courses or mentorship through Dr. Michael Gervais. And I haven't had a whole lot of time to read up on this guy just yet, but I will because I want to learn more about him. And there was a book that he also referenced called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And I know this book well, and it is a really good book. So definitely recommend you guys go out and get it and take a minute, watch this hour-and-a-half long podcast. And it's with, Wilbo, I think, the Trading Cards podcast, Wilbo. Anyway, links in the description. So you tell me what you guys thinking, you know, your thoughts, your comments below on Jared Goff. Will he be in Detroit for a very long time? Just how long will he be? He sounds confident. He looks confident when he says it. Got to read those facial, expressions to really understand if he means it or not. And I feel like he meant it. So hopefully his agent is working hard on his behalf to get this deal done. And we'll have something hopefully in May, as late as June, maybe, before we know more. But we hope it's a good deal for Jared and he can remain our quarterback in Detroit for many more seasons. And we can finally bring home that Lombardi. So, all right, Jared, love the podcast, by the way, that you were on. Those guys did an excellent job. And love the statements in this, man. A lot of good nuggets in this podcast. They did an excellent job. Probably one of the best athlete interviews I've seen in a long time. And big credit to those guys out there. So, all right, y'all, that's it for this little segment here. We go live here at 8 o'clock tonight. 8 p.m. off the cuff, Rockdown Detroit Lions, right here on your network, Rockdown Podcast Network. We'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.